Morning, one and all. Good morning. Looks like it's another coffee talk with Dr. Whimsy. Let's see how we're doing here. All right, I'm definitely on. Oh, hello, Mila. I hear my cat wanting loads of attention. Oh, hello, Mila. You gonna come up here? She's such a little monster. Do you hear her? You coming up here? Hey, yeah? You want to come keep me company, you little monster? Oh my goodness. How are the little munchkins? I'm sorry. I was going to get here a little earlier and then this ring light. Someone told me to get a ring light, but I think I'm going to move it and take it right up a notch right up here so it doesn't. There we go. I think that's much better, don't you? Then we have the beauty of Whimsy. You see, you have the beauty of me without the ring lights on my glasses. Well, you folks wanted to get to know me as the beautiful witch that I am and to get to know more about my exciting life. This is the rated G Wicked Wild Life of the Witch Whimsy. I'm thinking with rents being so high and you know, I could get like a yurt, maybe. Maybe I could afford a yurt. Yeah. Would you guys like to see me in a yurt somewhere? Maybe down by the river. Maybe I could rent. At this rate, maybe I could rent like 100 square feet. Yeah. Little yurt. Place where I could boil a little water. What do you guys think? Is it getting to that point? Is it getting to that point? Yes? No? Hi, Diane. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a member. Well, we're having coffee. And my coffee is delicious. I often wake up early, like 3 in the morning, and I putsy around the house for a couple of hours, and then I will go and have another nap, usually between 7 and 9. Or 5 and 7, depending. I'm a Victorian. I do my first and second sleeps. I think I fell asleep 8:30, 9 p.m., something like that. Yeah, my sleep has become very Victorian the older I get. I get groggy, I'm reading things on the computer, I pass out around 8:39, I wake up around 3:30 in the morning. I lie there contemplating the ultimate reality. Then I get up, make a coffee, and come hang out with you folks. Yeah. Yurts are good. Would you all like to hear the empath's prayer? And then, oh, hi, Finland. Sind is here from Finland. This is also a nice way for us to get together with some of you all that are in Europe and other countries. Mm-hmm. So I'm learning the violin, and I have not been practicing as much as I should. So I may go and do that as well today. It's a discipline. It's a discipline, and it's one of the things that we talk about on this channel is this idea that we must take our goals in life seriously, and no one is going to take you seriously but you. And when they see that you are dead serious and that you're not going to let anything get between you and the thing you are attempting to achieve, that's the point at which others, we lead. And if our work is serious, others will begin to realize that my work is to make medicine and life, to make medicine as affordable and as painless as possible. And yeah, to help people have the good life, which means living simply, living below our means, having a relationship with the natural world. Uh, yeah, and being a good witch, being a good herbalist, being a good naturopathic doctor, um, studying medicine every single day is something that I have to do. I played hooky, and that's something you can't do with medicine. You can't play hooky with medicine. You get lazy, you get forgetful, you make stupid mistakes, you mean to say one thing and another thing comes out of your mouth. These are parts of being human, but well, I think it's good for California because the rents were too high. And I think that California will reinvent itself and it will become a much more lush and green, and the salmon will probably return. I'm a little concerned about these genetically modified salmon, but um, the same is true for Texas and Arizona, is that they go green. They go green, and part of that's global warming. If you shoot forward 20 years, you'll have the new trees will be tall, that are starting to grow now in these areas. So it's a combination of global warming and getting off of fossil fuels. There's a lot going on. Also, the meat industry is going belly up because it's simply not sustainable. Beef is not sustainable. That's why it costs $16 to have a McDonald's Mac. Remember those Big Mac meals we used to have when we were younger and didn't know any better? Who here has had a Big Mac meal? Did you like it? Because I thought they were the most delicious thing in the world. Not kosher, by the way. Cross my legs. Um, $16. Nobody's loving it. Big Mac, large fries, and a drink. $16. Yep. Who can who can afford that? And then we have rent, right? A lot of people are really afraid about the rent right now. So, do you guys want to do some blitzes? Do you guys want to do some blitzes? Does that sound like fun? All right, let's do the Empath's prayer. Cheeseburgers for 10 cents. Man, I loved a good cheeseburger. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. Amen, everyone. All right, we've got a question here from Wendy Burt. She wants to know if Texas and Arizona have enough water to sustain a green economy. Yeah, and how desalinization plants is something that people have talked about. Let's take a look at the water problems in Arizona and Texas. Water shortages. Yeah, so the reason why McDonald's has become beef industry is going belly up. People don't buy beef anymore. It's just way too expensive to produce. This is why my suggestion to Texas would be to be the leaders in making lab grown meat. Have yours be the best, because this old way of creating beef is just not sustainable. It's the great CO2 experiment, right? We don't know what we're doing with all this CO2. Um, it's just not working. In terms of the future of Arizona, California, Texas, you have this beautiful energy, the star of Texas. It's interesting that the star card is the card I use for Texas. And you have amazing agriculture. Ooh, you have a hard time seeing that because of the light. How's that? That better? You have the star, and then you have the Empress. So deep in the heart of Texas. Empress is great. It means that your agriculture will be very, very solid. One of the things that's come up is to deal with the housing shortage is to convert office spaces into living spaces. And that's problematic for a number of reasons. The plumbing, lighting, etc. But they've looked at, for example, New York, and they found that 20% of 3% of office buildings could be converted. I think they can get it to higher, but for now it's 3%. The rest will be converted into places where we grow food production, hydroponic food production. We're also going to have barns and farms that where the animals can walk up and use the existing, well, goats. You could convert some of these places into goat farms. Yeah, can you believe that? So who's climbing all those steps once it would be the goats, right? So put some hay in there. So what is happening is that you're starting to get urban farming happening with some of these places. But I love the fact that Empress is coming in for Texas, because that would indicate that you guys are going to do very well for yourself in terms of agriculture. Great Ace of Wands moving in also for Texas, which would indicate Texas and Arizona have great new entrepreneurship, new business coming in, and the crossing card business. So I'm not worried at all. I mean, look at these cards. This is Texas, Arizona. You've got the businesswoman, and you've got an Ace of Wands. You've got an Empress and a star. What is above you in terms of challenges? They have to reach across the aisle. The Republicans are complaining now that bringing in all these refugees is going to create more Democrats, which is one of the more bizarro arguments I've ever heard. For starters, Maduro out of Venezuela is pro-Cuban, pro-Russian, old Soviet guy. He was installed by Putin, right? Because Putin is toppling weak democracies, right? He did it with crypto. We've talked about that. So the situation right now is, will America be able to sustain itself economically when you have all these factors happening? What's going to happen with the fact that we have 1 million people that need places to live, etc., right? So Lovers is about reaching across the aisle, and that could indicate Republicans as well as well as Democrats working on these issues. Well, there's no reason that Republicans cannot make immigrants Republicans. Why are they assuming they're going to be Democrats when many of them are Christians fleeing communism? They would be more apt to be conservatives, wouldn't you think? So assuming they're all going to vote Democrat, who did that? The Democrats do that to the GOP, or did the GOP do it to themselves by having racist policies and fear of immigrants? They did it to themselves. So if they did it to themselves, they can't blame the Democrats if new Americans choose to become Democrats because of their failed racist policies. See what I'm saying? I mean, if you have a large percentage of people coming in that are devout Catholics that are leaving communist Venezuela or leftist Venezuela, seems to me like that would be a great opportunity to create new Republicans, right? Southwest, victory, reaching across the aisle. So there's going to be more cooperation in Arizona, New Mexico, California. There's less of this competition. There's more sobriety, leaving old industries behind, going towards smoother waters. There's also going to be a ton of government aid for new subsidies, new housing, and new industry in Texas, Arizona, Mexico, California. They're saying that it's really hard for them to leave old industries behind. Biggest challenges for that part of the world is not immigration based on these cards. Biggest problem is making money from ways that are addictive. So that could be drugs, alcohol, beef, human trafficking is what's destroying the southwestern United States. So how are they getting the money? The fentanyl, the drugs coming in over the border, the meat industry, industries that are not good. Excuse me. Industries that are not good for that part of the world, and yet people are still attached to them. Okay, so Diane is asking about SCOTUS hearing yesterday. What are you folks feeling about this? Are you optimistic, not optimistic? Let's see if SCOTUS sides with Trump. We shall see. Power. Thief attempts to steal something. Hopes and fears that it's over. Two of Swords, refusal to listen. Death and transformation, and power over the Supreme Court. A man attempts to flee like a thief, a businessman. There's grief here. And refusing to listen. Grief and refusing to listen. Powers with the courts. Let me just look at Trump's cards. The concern is that the courts are bought. That's what it looks like. It looks like the concern is that the courts have been bought and paid for. The businessman is the opposition. The lack of economic transparency about how these people wound up there. Kavanaugh and Thomas being the most shady in terms of just the economic stuff that's come out. Will Trump win? Let's look at Trump's cards. Trump with SCOTUS. He attempts to flee. He's the thief. They are looking academically. It is an academic search. You can see 7 of Pentacles. Attempt at a healing. King of Swords. Isn't King of Swords him? Because he's the Gemini, right? Okay. He has the world. The thief has the world. The courts got their wish. Hopes and fears. Again, the man, the economics. The final outcome for Trump. He's given the job. This would indicate that he does get the nomination. However, cards are saying he gets the nomination, so it could be that they side with Trump. God, I can't believe how bad Biden is doing right now. I mean, I was listening to people that I thought were relatively intelligent, and one of them said that they were voting for Trump. And it's the border, it's the 1 million immigrants that's causing it. It's just the border crisis. And of course, the border crisis was caused greatly by Putin. This is the great irony, and people don't know it because people don't do HCRV and they don't know how to connect the dots. But it was Putin that destabilized weak democracies of South America and installed his own people. Now Maduro wants to establish strong relations with Cuba. Anybody who watches this channel isn't even slightly surprised, right? So let's take a look and see, with Trump likely taking the nomination, which surprises me, or getting a nod, let's see how he does. Does that mean that, let's see how Trump does with the GOP, because I know the GOP is split with him. Trump and the GOP. What's left of the GOP? Thank you, everybody who likes and subscribes to the channel. It's much appreciated. And thank you for joining our early morning, early bird get together here. The biggest concern I see for Trump is economic. The other thing is that he doesn't really have a campaign. I don't get the impression that he has a campaign. You have this heavy load or yoke over him, and then he has to build something new. How is he going to build a campaign when he owes half a trillion, more than half a trillion dollars? So, on the one hand, there's this confidence card for him, but you can see, look at this, the guy is getting squeezed. Eight of Swords is right over Trump. What is above him? Two of Cups. This is the weirdest, a new beginning. His health and where his health is headed. The Hierophant, the 12 steps. So people must be having to confront him regarding his health and his ethics and his daily habits. Because the Hierophant is all about ethos, and his it could also be the 12 steps, the man in his cups, the King of Cups. It could also be his relationship with the church. So Trump also has a relationship with the church. Look at this, his opposition, the devil. The hope and the fear that he has the power. And then the final outcome for him is temperance. He must be clean and sober. So, yeah, there's something here about him and addiction and mental illness. I mean, the degree of mental illness we're talking about is quite profound. We're talking about somebody who the GOP has gotten so sick that he lost a civil case for sexual assault, and they're still supporting him because they're saying he wasn't convicted, he wasn't charged. I mean, this is the level of psychopathy we're dealing with. Oh, well, it was just a civil case. I mean, just like really wonky, as if rape is something that you can get an easy conviction for against somebody like this, particularly when you're dealing with statute of limitations, etc. So it's an impossible situation for the victim, right? But we have Trump's cards suggesting that he has to be sober, also very frugal. His economics look poor, and his health. These are the issues. I think I'm going to take a look now at Biden's cards to see how Biden is. I'm worried. I'm not happy with either of these candidates, to be honest with you, because of the issue of age. I like Biden as a person, but my concern is that we have two candidates that are just not doing well. In terms of TR's question about Trump's health, it just looked to me like health and past history of addiction. And addiction can include junk food, by the way. I'm addicted to sugar. The only reason I get away with sugar is because I have no animal fat in my diet, which is loaded with calories. So if you're like, wow, I like to have a little sugar in my coffee, if you're going to have meat, remove the skin, remove the fat, all those are calories. Then you can have a little sweet. If you don't do that, you got to give up the sugar. For every gram, what is it? For every gram, there's 7 calories. Is that right? But for fat, it's 11. Every gram of fat is 11 calories. So you have 5 more calories per gram, just in terms of weight of, say, olive oil versus sugar. So if you're someone that likes sweet stuff, you love your carbohydrates, you can keep your carbohydrates, but you have to eliminate fat from the diet. That's what I tell people. You can have a little olive oil, and you can have the monosaturated fats in small amounts. Like skinless chicken, and then how it still has fat on it. See if you can't remove that too. If you remove all of that and you put it in a teaspoon or a tablespoon, you'll see you've got like 110 calories worth of fat. Get rid of all of that. Wash it. Some people will boil it, get the fat off of it, and then drain the fat off that so that they're just getting the chicken protein, and then they'll have that on a salad with a little olive oil and balsamic. And the olive oil is a good fat in moderation. Yes, so after digressing, you guys wanted me to look at Biden's health. Steve Myers, yes, the Supreme Court heard the immunity case, and it looks like Trump very likely could get the nomination, but whether or not he can fulfill the nomination is questionable because his health and past addictions came up as the biggest concern. It was interesting. While we were doing this segment, and we were talking about the fact that meat has become so expensive, and so the cost, nobody buys it anymore. And we're talking about how McDonald's is $16 for a Big Mac meal. And we're talking about Donald Trump, how many Big Macs has he had, right, in his life? So now I'm craving a Big Mac. I think we have like a 24 hours McDonald's. Could just call, get myself a Big Mac. Of course, with delivery plus tip, it'd be like $30, right? But I'm afraid of what it would do to my body. I mean, it tastes delicious going down, right? It's like, man, that tastes really great. But you can't help but wonder, what is this doing? This is not food. It tastes good, but it's not really food. What is it doing to my body? McDougall, I feel like the main thing I need is carbohydrates and protein. Like potatoes and some nice chicken. So I like carbs and meat, but the fat, the oils and the fats and all that stuff, that's bad news because that's modern living. Our ancestors did not eat food like this because wild animals, and even up until recently, meat was much leaner. You look at film footage of people in the 1950s and 60s when meat was not as fatty, and they're lean, but they're still eating meat and potatoes. But the difference is that the meat wasn't 30-40% fat. I mean, it's insane because they fatten up the animals. I saute with oil. I don't find that sauteing with water tastes that good. And if it's a vegan meal and it's a little bit of olive oil, I don't think that's going to shorten your lifespan very much, if anything. If somebody wants to be so good that they're sauteing in water, but I use a little olive oil. All right, Biden's health. Yeah, like when they roast chickpeas, you buy some canned chickpeas and you drizzle some olive oil and curry on them and then bake them. And so then they can become like croutons. Salt, pepper, turmeric, cayenne, cumin, chili, olive oil, salt, pepper, yeah, and then garlic if you like, and then you put it in and bake it, and then those can be a protein snack. like and then you put it on your salads. That was some vegan ranch dressing. You're good to go. All right, what is going on with Biden and his health? So now people are saying that his memory is off. I just, I think this is just what Putin wanted, which is complete chaos. It's just complete chaos. Biden, there he is. Victory in 6 months. He's got victory over him. Over the next 6 months, he has success. Ace of Cups, blessings from heaven, wedding, healing, his crossing card, a new beginning for Biden. What is above him, something is ending. What sits below him, he's looking to the horizon. His past is Archangel Michael, the truth. He's entering into a time of confidence. Where he's at now, the High Priestess, wow, he's got some serious study cards over him. I don't know, man. This guy, probably because, his opposition will be victorious regarding issues of partnership. And then the final outcome for him, fighting. There's fighting in Congress. So what his opposition wants is fighting, and that's what his opposition is getting. There's fighting in Congress. The law and the powers with Biden. He's refusing to negotiate with his opposition. His opposition is dreaming, worried about the economy, and the fighting in Congress is keeping him up at night. I want to do one more clarification on Biden. They're like little children fighting. Look at this. It's like dad up at night with the screaming down the hall, downstairs with the Congress. Look at this. Absolutely not. Give me a bill I can sign. That almost looks like a veto. Time is running out. TikTok over an issue with the conflict. His opposition is getting stronger. The hopes and fears that, things are moving too quickly. Final outcome, day of judgment. So basically, the GOP wants to delay, block any successful bills from passing so that he looks like a lame duck president. And that helps them look at what a failure he is. So that's what's going on. Do you guys see that? So the GOP is blocking any chances that Biden has to get anything accomplished because it's an election year, putting everybody at risk. Yeah. Sunflower versus avocado. It just has to do with temperature, what temperatures they can tolerate. I think sunflower can take a higher temperature than avocado, but I would check that. A lot of raw food upsets my stomach, and that's because I don't have a lot of digestive heat. If you don't have a lot of digestive heat, but you want to be mostly a vegetarian and you're having trouble extracting nutrition from your food, then I would recommend getting a slow cooker and having your diet being 80-20. That's where I tell people to have 20% of your calories be lean animal protein with the skin removed, and don't worry about being a vegetarian. Just worry about getting to 80% vegetarian. So 20% of your plate is going to be some lean animal protein. It can be low-fat mozzarella cheese on a piece of toast with tomato and cucumber and a salad. That would be an example of 2080, because And you can do like 35% of a grain. I usually give people about 35% or more. You can get up to 60% on your starch, depending upon your ancestry. If you're European, Northern European, you can get up pretty high because that's the grain belt, right? The people that come from Europe, they lived on grain. So having a hearty rustic bread with some low-fat mozzarella. Remember, the king got the butter. I mean, a little bit of butter is fine, but we got the skimmed milk, right? The cream, the gout, all those wonderful diseases, the king got that. We got the skimmed milk. We got the hearty, nutrient-dense bread instead of the cheap white flour. This us peasants, yes. And we grazed, we dug fennel and made salads and yummy things like that, and wild oats, and we made pottages. And but your diet shouldn't be more than, most people don't need, this is for people who can't digest plants. And then you can, it depends. If you have a sensitivity to potatoes, potatoes were domesticated in Europe in the 17th century. I think it first came to Spain in the 15th, 16th century, and then the rest of Europe in the 17th century. Most people can eat potatoes with very little problems. White rice is usually benign. It won't hurt you. I do rinse off the starch. And Asians, the same thing. 60% or more of their diet is rice. In some parts of India, it's up to 80% is rice with just a little dollop of vegetable. High meat diets are found in areas where plants don't grow. An example would be Alaska, the Inuit who lived on seal meat and whales because there was no vegetation. But acquisition, getting plants into the diet is relatively easy. You just gather it. If you have a digging stick, you can dig up fennel, have yourself a nice fennel salad, right? Throw some berries in it. Or you could roast the fennel. The other thing they would do is roast celery roots. Catch yourself a nice salmon with some steamed celery root, wild onions. There you go. Berries, fennel. You're good to go. Tons of greens. Nettle. You can saute nettle. It tastes just like spinach. If you're having trouble digesting carbs, it's probably because you are not using a slow cook technique. And that is why we recommend you use something like a crock pot. I have one in my home, or you can just use a regular pot and just slow cook things that way. And the idea is that it's giving digestive fire to you. All right, let's do one more question. Anybody have another question for me? Well, I think that there's nothing that I can do personally about the chaos in the world right now. So the main thing that I get from people is the economy. Hi, Rose. How many people here rent? If rent is going up 10% a year, and this is rent control, excuse me, then your income would have to increase 10% to match the rent, right? And I haven't raised my prices in 5 years, right? Hi, Rose. So then the question becomes, are we all going to wind up homeless? It's very scary, right? So I just want to look at the housing markets, housing and rents. Hi, Desiree. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for liking, subscribing. Magician. I feel that it's the number one issue. You rent a lot. Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. In a juicing and soups, that's why we recommend slow cook technique. Soups, uh, bone broth can be very helpful, and juicing to remove some of the fiber. Yeah, but even in juicing, you want to be careful. Hi, Villa Verde. Good to see you. So we're in a position of power now over the issue of housing. Can we get enough housing quickly enough? Look, there's a storm coming. This is the housing crisis. Fool. Empress. I think the solution is conversions. I think that the solution is going to be, building conversions. Look at this Empress moving in. They're going to have to come up with new ways to convert all that office space. And they're going to, and they're going to succeed. Look at this. It's going to happen very quickly. There's something going on that we don't know about that's involving the housing crisis and affordable housing. And it's really good. Look at this. Fighting for territory. Look at that. Things are happening very quickly. Problem will be at rest, will be resolved. Well, this is the other thing that we've talked about with China, that now some of the new people rushing to get in at the border are coming in from China. And this is another example of how China's crisis is beginning to affect America. Also, they were buying up U.S. farmland. There's a lot of problems going on. House next door, 95,000. 219 never sold, over 140 in the last 40 years. See, those look like really depressed wage. That sounds really cheap. Like I'm looking at condos here, a studio, 330 square foot studio in Portland, Oregon is 250,000. So if you're a single woman and you're earning a regular income, what's the national average? 50,000 a year. You're going to rent for the rest of your life. See, the problem with tiny homes is I don't know if it is the best use of space. I think condo living would be better, don't you? Because then we could build vertically, and that would take less land, and it would displace less wildlife. Whereas if you have tiny homes, you're talking about a wide space of area. You could condense a lot more people if you built. I really like these mall apartments. I'm living in one. Uh, Downstairs is the Safeway, is the grocery store. But then in the middle, on the fifth floor or whatever, is the open gardens, barbecue, etc. So it has more of a social feel. The problem when you live in a building like this, a mall apartment building, is that there's no reason to ever leave the building, right? Why? I want to have a coffee. The Starbucks is down. Just the first floor Starbucks, and then next to that is the Safeway, and then you go to the elevator that takes you back to my apartment, and then on the second floor is the gym, and then there's the gardens. Exactly, right. So why would I ever leave this block, this building, right? So but I do think it's a great way to live because you live on a block with, say, a couple hundred other people, and everybody knows everybody, and we're all at the same gym. We're all eating the same taco. We're all eating. Uh, so it is very insulating, but it's a great way to live. I mean, it's just very convenient. Whereas in a tiny home, I think it might not be the best use of space. And what happens when you can't climb stairs? Oh, well, why can't you take the elevator? Barking dogs harass you? Oh, we have really good, we have a lot of security here. We have very good security, and we just tell the front desk if we have a problem. Yeah. The biggest complaint here is that, some young people like to smoke marijuana, and sometimes I smell it when I'm. And periodically we put notes up if would people please not smoke. Also, people sometimes will be cooking food that people don't like the smell of. Like, I don't know. I might be one of the people that's cooking something people don't like because I cook Indian food sometimes. Yeah, the biggest complaint I would say in this building is just smells, like somebody smoking marijuana that's not supposed to be smoking marijuana, or somebody cooking curry. That's about it. I don't know. It's Portland. We're pretty laid back. It's pretty much it. Marijuana and curry. Those are the biggest. We do have a fentanyl crisis downtown, and I grew up in Portland, and so I've never seen Portland like this. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing. I will take a look at the fentanyl crisis. Anybody else living in a town where you're seeing, oh, did I spell that wrong? What do you guys think about the fentanyl crisis? Do you think that I've heard that it's so cheap now you can get um what is it? Fentanyl, 2 doses or something for, I don't even know how people smoke it, right? Jeez. Um so I'm going to take this, hold on. Yeah, the question is whether or not um, it's deliberately being brought in? And the answer is yes, I think it is a war with China. I think that they're deliberately, the precursor is being made in labs in China, and then it's cheaply being turned into fentanyl in Mexico. And I think it's now so cheap, it's 50 cents for a hit. So for a dollar, you can get 2 hits. That's my understanding. There was an OD at the county jail. Oh my God. Well, yeah, and kids getting into it. Weed is legal in Oregon, but it's just a smell issue. People don't want to smell your weed. I mean, take edibles or go outside to smoke, just like cigarette smoke, anything else, people don't want to smell it. So if you need to get a tarot reading or you need me to see you as a naturopathic doctor, I just gave the information below. Some of you had said that you were having trouble with the Booksy. Connecting with the Booksy. To book a reading by phone. Also, I see people as a naturopathic doctor by by telemedicine if you need to see me for that reason. That is good too. Okay, so let's take a look at fentanyl crisis. I'm beginning to wonder in general if how much of our feds are getting paid off. You look at what happened in New York, right? Where people were taking money to mess over Hillary Clinton. It's just really disturbing. Oh, thank you, Philerin. Thank you so much. All right, let's take a look at what is going on with the fentanyl crisis. There's something very, very seductive about it. It is an opioid, and like many opioids, it's just really seductive. Fentanyl, we see this death or transformation. It's almost like it could end really quickly, like it ends overnight, and we can see justice. I get the impression with these cards that China is going to do something to shut this down. Just because you have this death, boom, and then you have justice, and then a new beginning. It could be that this is part of what Biden is talking about with Xi, is that they have got to get control of this if they want to have any kind of a relationship or future trade with the United States. I'll show you again here. Death and leaving it behind. So that's kind of interesting. That would lead me again to think that China is going to openly be working harder to shut down the fentanyl trade. You can see the opposition of China, money and justice. So yeah, that would indicate trade or some kind of business. And then here's Biden, a new beginning with Biden, and then economic, financial stability, 9 of Pentacles with the president card, Emperor. So basically, it looks like part of what Biden is doing is playing hardball with Xi, in the sense that there will continue to be problems with China until he gets control over the fentanyl crisis. It's a disaster. I mean, we really have had a lot of problems because of the trade wars. I had no idea when I read on that 5 years ago, when I had a vision of these competing trade wars, that all of this was about that. Because we don't think, you and I, we regular Americans, we don't think like this. We don't think, wow, everything is falling apart. Everything, what the heck is going on with these immigrants coming from Central and South America? Well, it's the collapse of their democracies. Well, why? Well, because Putin collapsed them. Why? Because of trade issues, trade embargoes with the West. And so what did he do? He installed pro-Putin people like Maduro. So this is something that's also come up when we've done remote views on Putin, right? That he saw himself as a father with birds. Anybody remember this remote from a long time ago about Putin? That Putin saw himself as like a father who was feeding baby birds, right? So Putin saw them as little birds he needed to feed, whether it was the guy in Brazil or Trump or Maduro in South America or the guy in Belarus, right? Hungary, Poland, right? Where you have these alt-right wingnuts coming in, right? There's this feeling from Putin that he was creating oligarchs internationally. I mean, that's the way you can look at it. Yeah. Well, did you guys have fun having morning coffee with me? We spent a little time together. We spent a little over an hour. Hopefully, you all had some fun. I'll try and do this more often when I get up early for my morning coffee. I'm wide awake. I don't feel like I want to go back to sleep. So I think I might study. I might go back to just studying. Oh, hi again, Villa Verde. Hi, Pamela Doss. Good to see you. I think it's because I got to bed so early, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30. I slept like 6 hours. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. I love to get up at this hour and just watch the sun come up. And it's just such a cozy, comforting time. And the world hasn't started yet. And you can meditate in front of your altar. And it's just good. It's the good life. Yeah. All right, be kind to all so that all can be kind to you too. We will see you all next time. Bye, everyone. Thanks again for having morning coffee in Toronto with me. Be well.